You're watching Service Drive, exclusively on CBT News.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Welcome into another edition of Service Drive right here at the CBT Automotive News Network. Service is where most customers get their first impression, yet many dealerships still rely on static training. Joining us today is Dave Foy, founder of Fixed Ops Mastermind, and to discuss the first impression, why traditional training is falling short, and what dealerships can do to better prepare their teams. So Dave, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Everything, my father used to say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, right? So it's a well-known phrase, but one that he kind of drilled into our heads as we were growing up. But it's very apropos today, isn't it?
It sure is, Jim. And sometimes that first impression is recorded, so you get to relive it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, for sure.
We've done training in automotive the same way for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And we can take notes from how sports practices, right? They practice in more real life scenario.
That's right, for sure.
So if we take our training out of the conference room and put it back in the service drive where interactions are actually happening and train in the moment, right? The same way that we teach our leaders that you coach in the moment, right?
Yeah.
You don't wait for that moment to pass.
Sure.
We need to train the same way.
Mm-hmm. Why is service now considered the real front door for dealerships?
Yes, you can find anything online about a dealership and its inventory right now, right? There aren't people walking in the front door of the store saying, hey, what do you have for XYZ type of cars, right?
Yeah.
They already looked, they saw what you have for inventory. Now they're coming in saying, what can be done for me when I walk in there?
Right.
Service is a little different because they're walking in with a concern most times, or some maintenance that they need. They might know if they're walking in for an oil change, what the price is that you charge or what they want to pay.
Mm-hmm.
If they have other concerns, it's really that first interaction that you used to get from a customer walking in the showroom, and now you're getting it in the service drive.
Yeah, for sure. What are some of the common first impressions customers form when they enter the service department?
Yeah, so you need to step back sometimes and look at your service drive from fresh eyes.
Mm-hmm.
We walk in there every single day, and you start to not see that pile of tires, used tires that the customer can see, the trash bin in the corner that nobody uses anymore, but it also hasn't been emptied in a month, right? So you need to step back and you need to look at that stuff. You need to drive into your service drive and walk into your service area as if you were a customer,
right?
And treat every day as if it was grand opening day, right? If this was the first time you were opening this dealership, is this the appearance you really want to give your customers?
Right. But Dave, I hear what you're saying, but everybody just comes in and they're focused on two things: how quick can I get it serviced, and what's the lowest price? And all that other stuff is just feel-good stuff.
So we can certainly look at it that way, Jim. But I think we've all had experiences in our life, whether it was going out to dinner or purchasing something at a physical store, and you don't remember a lot of what the dinner was. But if at the end of that meal, the waiter or waitress comes over to you and gives you the bill and then says, "Oh, I forgot, I also have this chocolate for you." Right?
Nice
you
touch.
Remember how that felt.
Yep.
Right. And that's what you're going to talk about to your friends.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
is that
right.
feeling there?
That's right.
It's the same thing in service.
That's right.
They understand that they're going to pay for an oil change. They may even understand that they're going to pay a little bit more or a little bit less than they would have somewhere else.
Yeah.
But they really want that treatment, and it's how we can make them feel, which is going to make them remember us and come back to us.
That's right. That's why we spend the extra money for a Four Seasons hotel or a Ritz-Carlton or any of the finer hotels out there, because it's worth it. It's worth that experience, right? And consumers, with the average price of a car now being almost $50,000 and many that are around $100,000, even Ford pickup trucks and Chevys, and it's just incredible how much these cars cost. Consumers are pretty much demanding that they're being treated with white glove service, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they're absolutely right to.
Yeah.
Right. We may
Agreed.
have looked at it in the past as look, you're coming to the dealership, the treatment is a certain way.
Right.
Right. But that's not the way the world is.
Yeah.
And as dealerships, we are really resistant to change.
Yep.
Right. But the time to change was a few years ago. But if you didn't, the time to change is now. You need to be customer focused in everything you do. You
That's
need
right.
to be going overboard with everything you do for those customers. And with service now being the almost switching and being the front of the house, we need to drive retention of customers in. We can't have 30% retention after the warranty expires.
That's right.
You're not going to survive that way.
No. You know what? I just brought my vehicle in for service, and what really irks me is when you bring the car in and you are there, and the service advisor is kind of running around with the last customer that they just said goodbye to, and they're putting the mats in, and they're, the paper mats, and they're getting the car ready, and they're not even acknowledging you standing there waiting many times. And this isn't just one time that this has happened to me. But you're just standing there feeling like awkward. Nobody's acknowledged that I'm even standing here until that service advisor is damn well ready to say hello to me or acknowledge that I'm there, or somebody, maybe there's a greeter or what have you. And it's very uncomfortable. You really feel put off by the whole experience. And, I said to myself, wow, they have a lot to learn here about just greeting the customer into service. And what do you suggest for those dealerships that have got issues in this area? And many times you'll talk to the service advisor, when I was running dealerships, to make sure that they're like, well, boss, I'm so busy and we're just processing eyeballs back here and we're trying to get everybody in and out. But they're not realizing that they're making somebody feel very uncomfortable in doing all of that and not acknowledging that customer standing there before them.
Absolutely. And how long does it take to acknowledge that customer?
Exactly.
It takes less than a
Exactly.
second.
Right.
Look up, make eye contact with them. Say, I'm going to be with you in just one moment, and I'm going to take great care of you. That's
right.
it.
That's right.
Customers understand you need to finish with what you were doing.
Sure.
Right. When you're standing in line at the grocery store or at Walmart, you're not hurrying that cashier along to give the customer the receipt so they can move on to the next person. Right. You understand. You have to wait for the transaction to finish.
Exactly.
And customers understand that.
Exactly.
So with the Walmart example, what I used to always tell my service advisors was, you walk into a Walmart, when that cashier has nobody in their line, they're standing at the end of their line and asking you if you're ready to check out.
But that's right. They are.
If Walmart can get their cashiers to do that, we can certainly get our service advisors to be able to greet our customers.
That's right.
As soon as they come in the door, whether that's in the service drive, whether the advisors have offices, however it's done, somebody needs to make that contact with the customer, and it's really not that hard to do.
And I will say this, that by the time somebody acknowledges you, if you are upset over that, you already have a negative feeling about the service center, maybe about the dealership, or maybe even this particular individual, because they have been avoiding you until they are ready to speak to you. And you're busy, you got to move on with your day and such. But now, what happens to the consumer is they say, no, I don't want any of that other stuff. I just want my oil change. I'm not even open to it. I'm not going to give you the benefit of, my business here. I'm just in for the oil change, or maybe the recall that I was notified about, or something like that, because now you want to show them that, hey, I've got a little bit of power here too, right? And therefore I'm not going to give you any more business than what I'm in for, right? So you're already
absolutely.
Yeah, you're kind of taking it out on that service individual that ignored you, So now when they come back and they go, oh, by the way, we've got about $1,000 here worth of work, and you go, no, just give me the absolute essential, Yeah,
and absolutely. And to your point earlier, Jim, right, where a customer is only concerned about they're busy, they want to get on with their day.
Yeah.
Right. How many times did we initiate that person going, I'm busy, I got to go.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about what the car needed, right? Because of that interaction that we had with them there.
That's right.
Right. And go back to your initial point about training. If we train in that moment, right? If we train and coach in that moment of, hey, here's how you don't have to do it in front of a customer, but as soon as the customer leaves, like, hey, here's what I saw,
Yeah.
and here's how I feel that we could do it better, right? And we don't need to criticize the person. We criticize the action that they're doing, not the person, right? That's the other area where leaders fall down.
Yeah.
That we show them a better way to do it, right? And they will see results. We know that,
That's
right?
right.
That's not unique to automotive. There's been plenty of studies that show with better customer interactions, you get better customer outcomes.
That's right. That's right. Let me ask you this. As dealerships evolve, what do you see as the next frontier in fixed ops training and the customer experience? I mean, that we talked a little bit about training and how to do it, when to do it, but what's the next frontier on training?
Yeah, well, certainly the big two letters everybody's been talking about is AI, right?
Right.
And that is going to play a part in how we train in fixed ops. There are already systems out there, not fixed ops focused, but systems out there that can allow for an AI to really provide some great training to when it becomes fixed ops focused to our service advisors, right? To provide training in the moment that they actually need, right? That the AI is going to be able to create a lesson right there for an advisor on what they need help with.
Sure.
In the meantime, until that comes around, we've got some great trainers in this industry, and stores need to not be shy about bringing them into their stores and helping their teams, right? A lot of times as a leader, we may have a lot of ego, we may have a lot of pride and say, well, if I can't train my people this way,
Right.
my leadership above me may think I'm not doing my job.
That's right.
But we all have strengths and weaknesses.
And really, to institute a training program, an effective training program, is actually a sign of strength, not weakness. To avoid the training is a sign of weakness. So, it's kind of like I've always told my salespeople, to ask for help is a sign of strength, because it shows you've got the knowledge and the intellect to say, hey, I need help in this, and we're going to close this customer together, rather than saying, no, I'm too cool for school here, and I don't need any help in closing my customer, only to find out the customer leaves, doesn't buy a car. And same holds true in service.
Yeah, absolutely. And go back to when you were a kid, right? The teacher is teaching a lesson, and what did they tell you? If you need help, put your hand up and I will come help you.
That's right.
There was no shame in asking for help and saying, I don't understand this, right? But as we get older, we start to feel inside the dealership like, I should know this.
Yeah.
I should already understand this.
Yep.
But you're not going to face the same situation day in and day out most times, right? You're going to have things that are different. And that's why the training and the coaching is imperative, because it keeps things front of mind. It keeps the brain active and learning and trying to understand things. And most of all, it tells your team it's okay to ask for help.
That's right. And I will say this, that many times you'll talk to a service advisor and ask them, when were you trained for the position that you're in? And they'll tell you, when I first started, they put me into a rigorous 2-week training course, and then I had to shadow somebody, and that I got all the training that I needed. How long ago was that? 5 years ago when I started. What training have you had in the last 5 years, okay, to do your job better? Nothing really to speak of, and yet we're expecting these men and women to go out there and be ready for today's customer that is going to be very demanding and want answers and want to be treated right and get that first impression right. And, half the things that individual learned in training 5 years ago, they have probably forgotten. So training, as one of our hosts says, Adam Marburger, training is something that it shouldn't be looked at as something that we did, but something that we do. It's got to be ongoing, right?
Yes, absolutely. I have heard Brad Lee say that
Sure.
same thing.
Sure.
And it's absolutely true. It needs to be something that's ongoing to the point that you don't even necessarily notice that it's training.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
If as a leader you're good with the coaching and things, those are just moments that are happening during the day. Your team isn't even seeing it as I'm being coached, I'm being trained.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
You're just helping them through things. And your point of when was the last time somebody got some training? Think about how different the dealership was 5 years ago. We were in the middle
no question.
of COVID,
Yeah.
right? It was, and everybody was saying back then, we can't do things the way we were doing them even yesterday.
That's right.
Because of how different the environment was.
That's right.
Well, the environment's still different. It might be different than it was 5 years ago, but the customers have evolved. The technology in the rest of their life has evolved.
Yeah.
They are now looking for us to give them that Amazon experience. They can go on their phone and order their groceries and everything they need for their house without ever leaving their house.
I know.
Right?
That's right.
And now
That's right.
service is starting to catch up with mobile service. Now they can get some mobile service done.
For sure.
But they're now starting to expect that from dealerships, right?
Right.
Like calling and do you have mobile service?
Yeah.
Can I get my car serviced at the house?
Let me ask you this before we close out the session. I appreciate the time that you've given us. What, in the best case scenario, how do you see training for fixed ops? Is it a visit every month or quarterly by a trainer, complemented by online training? What does it look like to be the most effective?
Yes, it has to be an ongoing thing, right? And if that's a trainer coming in every month for a few days.
Okay.
That's great, but that also needs to be augmented through the rest of the month.
Right.
Right. The leadership of that dealer needs to be involved in continuing that education. Right? That's something that we've been notoriously poor about.
Right.
We did some training, the trainer left, nobody did anything to sustain it. They come back in a month and they go, well, we got to start over again because everybody got what we taught them, right?
And by that leader not doing anything, you've just told the whole crew that this really isn't important. So now you've got a prisoner in training that goes, we just got to sit through this thing. How long is it going to be? Okay, well, just let the guy talk and then we'll be done with it. Versus having a management or a leadership team that is completely bought in on the training, that, to your point, that does hold these individuals accountable to what they learned, and also to role play throughout the month and to offer training and solutions, right?
100%. And that the leadership should be understanding what the training is that they're bringing in. Right. They should be able to train that material as well as the trainer that's coming in.
That's right.
Doesn't mean they have to do it, right? It's always good to hear it from a different voice.
Yeah.
Right.
But they should, would you agree that that fixed ops director, that service manager should be in the training? To take 3 or 4 or 5 individuals and say, here, throw them in a room. There's the trainer. I'm the manager. I don't have to sit into the training. Huge mistake, right, Dave? I mean, that manager's got to be there to hear what that trainer told those individuals, and then to be able to carry that on, to your point, throughout the month, and to also support it, to say, hey, I'm in this training with you. We're all learning this together, and we're going to adhere to it through, as we move forward.
Yeah, 100%. And that leader needs to be held to a higher standard than their team, right? So again, they should not only sit in the training, they should understand that training and be able to, because the questions are going to come up. Yeah. Right. What we just talked about, we want our team to ask questions and ask for help.
Yeah.
They ask for help. If you're giving them help that's counter to the training that they just sat in, you're confusing your team.
That's right.
If you understand and believe in the training that you've brought in, then you can now, when your team raises their hand in between training visits, you can help them and further that training. And now everything compiles, right? Now you get that snowball effect as things to build.
That's right. That's right. Dave Foy, founder of Fixed Ops Mastermind. Thank you so much for joining us on Service Drive here at CBT News. Very much appreciate it. I've got a list of so many other things that I want to ask you, but time will not permit. But thank you so much for joining us. And as I said, I'd love to do a follow-up with you to see how things are moving along, but also to touch on these other subjects that I want to run by you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me here.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Service Drive, exclusively on CBT News.